All right, so we are going to look at how to factor when a does not equal 1. So before we do that, we're actually going to look at how to expand this. So the first way you learned to expand this was to make a box. And you put each of these factors, one along the top and one along the side. So you have 2x and 1, 3x minus 2, and then you multiply. So you get 6x squared minus 4x. 3x times 1 is 3x. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. So then you can combine your like terms, which is negative 4x and 3x. So you end up with 6x squared minus 1x minus 2. So now we're going to try to reverse this problem. So we have 6x squared minus 1x minus 2. And let's say we want to factor this. So the reason these get tricky is because when you make your factors, you know that these first two numbers have to multiply to 6. So you could have 3x and 2x, or you could have 6x and 1x. So both of these would be possible options to figure out two factors that multiply to give you this. So instead of guessing and checking, we are going to figure out a way to do it that, or a way to do it that works every single time. So we are going to do something that's called the reverse box method. So you are going to make a box. So if you look back over at this problem, so let me get rid of this. So this, do you see anything from this that is in this box? Well, this first term will always go in the top left. This last term always goes in the bottom right. So now we have to figure out what goes here. So we know, just because we already did the problem, that we have a 3x and a negative 4x. So what do you think, or how do you think you can figure out these numbers based on just this? Well, we know that they're going to add to give you this middle number. So we need to think of two numbers that add to give us a negative 1. Okay, but what else? So if this didn't equal 6, if this was a 1, you know you would have to think of two numbers that multiply to negative 2 and add to a negative 1. But these don't multiply to a negative 2. They actually multiply to negative 12. So now if you look back over here, any way you can get a negative 12 out of this? Oh, well, if I take 6 times negative 2, you get negative 12. And that's not a coincidence. It happens every single time. So to figure out these two numbers, you have to think of two numbers that are going to add to a negative 1, which is this number, and multiply to a negative 12, which is this times this. So those two numbers are going to be negative 4x and a positive 3x. Okay, so now we have to figure out how do I get, so we have the box filled out, but how do I get back to this? So obviously if we're working backwards, here's the filled in box. How did we get a negative 2 here? Well, it looks like it's the greatest common factor between these two squares. A 3x, that's the greatest common factor between these two squares. 2x is the greatest common factor here, and 1 is your greatest common factor here. So we are going to go and we pull out our greatest common factors. So if you notice, I put these in a different order than over here. It does not matter. You can switch them. It's the exact same thing. So 3x and negative 2, what's my greatest common factor? That's a 1. 6x squared and negative 4x, that is going to be 2x. 6x squared and 3x, that's 3x. negative 4x and negative 2. So they're both negative, so we're going to pull out a negative. So negative 2, and our factors are 2x plus 1 and 3x minus 2, which is exactly what we wanted. All right, so let's look at an example. So notice a value is not 1, so we're going to use the box method. I guess the reverse box method, if you want to call it that. So this first term will always go in this top left, so 3x squared. The last term always goes in the bottom right. And then I always put these two things over on the side, just helps keep me organized. So I need two numbers that are going to add to this middle term, which is 11. And then here's where it's different. I need two numbers that multiply, not just a 6, but 3 times 6, so 18. So that'll be 2 and 9. So 2x, 9x. Again, it doesn't matter if you put the 2x here or here. You get the same result either way. And then we take out the greatest common factor. So between 9x and 6 is 3. 3x squared and 2x, that's just going to be x. 3x squared and 9x, that's 3x. And 2x and 6 is 2. So you have 3x plus 2 times x plus 3. It's your final answer. And then if you want to check your solution, you can just multiply or expand these two back out and make sure you get this solution.